Zopa started us off yesterday with the 8 verses of thought transformation, so I thought it would be good to just keep going. 8 verses of thought transformation by Longre Tangpa. Yeah. So the second verse is, speaking purely sarcastically, much easier than the first one that we talked about yesterday. Whenever I am with others, I will practice seeing myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depth of my heart, I will respectfully hold others as supreme. And on first glance, that actually looks not so complicated. I mean, it looks difficult, but you kind of think you get it. Oh yeah, okay, I'll hold myself lower and everybody else is better. So right off the bat, that's not exactly right. Right off the bat. And I think it's very easy. I've actually heard a lot of people talk about how easy it is to sort of interpret that within the framework of our own sort of self-pity view, which we run around with anyway. So it would be a grave mistake to take that verse and think that my self-defeating thought, my self-deprecating attitude, my idea that I'm really not so great anyway, is a virtue that I should practice. Because it's not. But if it's not that, then what is it? You know, I think it's very hard to come up with, if that's not what that verse means, what in the world could it possibly mean? I will see myself as the lowest of all. I mean, the other reaction to that is to read that verse and go, what? Me? I've been working on my self-esteem for my whole life? You think I'm now going to see myself as the lowest of all? No way! That's not healthy. That's not good for my psychological development. That's our other reaction. Also, not exactly a virtuous mind in response to this verse. So let me just say that I'm no expert on this, but I certainly have thought about this verse a lot. And so, given those two extremes, well, I will never see myself as the lowest of all because I think that's unhealthy, it's just some Asian weird thing. Or the attitude that, oh yeah, I'll do for everybody, do whatever, let me be your doormat, and that makes me a holy person. Those two inaccurate extremes that we fall to very easily. Anybody here hasn't gone to those two things? Has not gone to those things? At some point in your mind. Then what is this verse about? So one of the things that I've been reflecting on, just touching off on yesterday's verse, which was, with the thought of attaining awakening for the welfare of all beings, I will constantly practice holding them dear. So Zopa outlines some ways of holding sentient beings dear, and one of the chief ways is to think about their kindness. Again. We think about the kindness of sentient beings when they were our mothers. We think about the kindness of sentient beings and all that we've benefited from, the tangible, the people we identify as friends. We think about the kindness of sentient beings and the people that we don't even know, the strangers who put forth effort to create roads and jobs and homes and clothes and food and everything that we rely on. We think about that a lot, and then we even think about the kindness of our enemy. And the purpose of that meditation on that kindness is to see sentient beings as lovable, to get over our kind of habit of seeing them as possible sources of harm, seeing them as beings who will put me down or criticize me or won't like me or will harm me in some way, and actually open our hearts to see beings as lovable. So if we have cultivated that mind, also hard to do, but if we have cultivated that mind of beginning to see sentient beings as lovable, then holding ourselves as the lowest of all in regard to that, this is a lovable human being in front of me, whose happiness I care about a great deal, whose happiness I actually wish for. And so is there in this living being who is so very dear to me, I want to hold their happiness and welfare above my own. I want to I want to be of benefit to this being, and in order to be of benefit to this being, then they, in exchanging myself another, then I would hold their happiness as more important than my own in this moment. So this is really difficult for us to do. I mean, it's very, very, very advanced practice, these thought training teachings. Something that I heard years ago, and I think it was in a discussion group, where someone talked about, if I can hold the view that I can learn something from every single person I meet, then I'm open to them. If I hold the view that A, I have something to teach them, or B, there's some possible harm from this person, I have to check them out before I can be open to them, then that's a completely different mind. But it seems to me that on a day-to-day practice basis, this idea of, oh, can I learn something from this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, keeps our mind open and helps us to see the value of sentient beings. There's a scene in the documentary, The Jew and the Lotus, that has stayed with me for years, in which, in that film, Roger Kremenetz, I believe is his name, made a documentary about his own spiritual journey, actually, as a practicing Jew who became very close to the Dalai Lama, and through his association with His Holiness became a better Jew, much more close to his Judaism practice. But there is a scene in there that shows where His Holiness, in his great wisdom, called together a group of Jewish leaders from all different sects, all different forms of Judaism, to talk to them about the diaspora. Because what he said is, you have been able to maintain a culture over centuries, thousands of years, millennia, with your people being scattered all around the world. And he said, Tibetans have something to learn from you. And so he called together this conference and listened, as he does. And there's a scene in the film where there is I believe it's maybe a Kabbalistic scholar. Anyway, he's certainly a rabbi with he's got the side hair and the hat, and he's definitely, among all these kind of well-dressed, modern-looking rabbis. And he's starting to go off on a quite a philosophical tangent. I mean, maybe it's not a tangent, philosophical vein of thought about sort of an esoteric form of Jewish thought. And in the film, you can see that these people are starting to squirm a little bit as he goes on. It's like, it's a view that's maybe not held by everybody. And they're squirming a little bit more the more he talks, but His Holiness is like completely riveted on this person. He's taking in every word he says. And you can see that His Holiness is respectfully holding this person as supreme as he listens and learns in an environment where not everybody else is wanting to learn from this man. So I think, in a way, for me, that image of His Holiness intently listening as everybody else is intently trying not to is a perfect example of how to practice this verse. It's only an example. It's not something I'm capable of doing at this point. But the aspiration to do it, and really try to think frequently about what it means to respectfully hold others as supreme, is very useful for a mind tinged with pride. I've heard teachers say that in the West, that's really our worst affliction, that we're all colored with it as a part of our society. So it really helps us with our pride and with being open to others. So good luck.